So good afternoon everyone. A little louder please. Good afternoon. I know this panel is between you and lunch, so I know where it is. But let me start by saying the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So I'm giving you an example from the food world. That's because we are talking of deployment of AI. इतने ज्ञान का क्या फायदा अगर आप implement ना कर सको? So I'm very, very honored to have a super panel with me. I will let them introduce themselves as they start speaking. The format is that each of them will have 3-4 minutes to talk about the subject in terms of deployment of AI. As I said, Gyan is useful, but implementation is where the rubber hits the road and we can really get the benefit of AI for our business or in whichever field we want to deploy AI in. So with those very few words, I know we are running behind schedule, so I want to help the organizers by avoiding giving a long talk on AI, about which I know a little bit, not too much, and hand over straight to our first panelist, Indrajit. So Indrajit, over to you.
Thank you, Raman. Hello everyone, I am Indrajit. I am the founder of Intellimake Systems. So today, in one of the earlier sessions, someone mentioned that there can be a shift in AI where ChatGPTs and NVIDIAs are coming up with large language models or something which is enterprise-wide. But what we observe is the actual adoption when businesses are adopting AI, that is going on in pockets. So our focus is mainly about how the process design and engineering can be made more effective by harnessing AI. So when we say harnessing AI into business specific functions or departments, AI is not a standalone solution. What it comes up with, there is a business function which has its own domain understanding or knowledge. Then there are methods to execute that. And what AI comes into picture is how these methods can be more effective to achieve the end goal of the business. So domain understanding will have more importance going further with AI. So one of the advice is people shifting from the core engineering like chemical, mechanical, civil. I think those core strengths will have more value with AI because that's where the application will come into picture. Now we'll try to explain this with maybe one of our case studies from a pharma company. So before the earlier session, someone talked about the application of AI in drug discovery phase. Our focus is more on the manufacturing side of the industry. So if I connect with the pharmaceutical case study, everyone we have seen that the urgency of vaccine in the COVID days, we were like dying for the vaccine to be made available. So there is a process how vaccines or drugs are discovered and then manufactured. And it has to go through a lot of trials before those are actually put into the market. So there is a process where scientists and engineers work on, they use different tools, techniques and methods for designing the vaccine. But when it comes to manufacturing, how you ensure the composition of a tablet or vaccine which you have designed in a small lab, and when you manufacture at 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 liters of production, you get the same composition in the vaccine. And it has to go through a lot of trials, it takes months, lot of millions of dollars of money. And that's where AI can come into picture. It will not replace all these methods, but it will make these methods more effective and efficient. So that those kind of problems we try to solve with AI. I can talk about some other examples from other industries like automotive and steel, where, for example, in steel industry, when you are extracting iron from iron ore, even a 0.05% gain in your efficiency or your control on carbon emissions gives a lot of different scale to your business. So such things can be even analyzed effectively by applying AI to understand the core chemistry that happens inside the program. So I think these two examples, and with that I would maybe stop. Thank you everyone.
Let's give a hand to Eugene. Excellent, very relevant, real-life examples which can make a big difference to the top line, bottom line of any organization. So I now come to our next super expert, that's Rahul, who's of course partly based in Germany, partly here, global experience, unbelievable level of intelligence, skill and application in the AI field. So Rahul, over to you.
Yeah, it's I think little wrong to say super expert. Just graduated in 2015-16, so probably was just sitting a couple of years back on the other side of this podium. But first of all, I would say huge rounds of applause to this audience, this very energetic audience. I think during the first panel, I also heard that Pune is on the verge of becoming #2 city in AI, right, and IT. So that, I think that's also a very great feat. It's been almost last 8 years I have been outside India, and when I come back and when I hear that Pune is actually in probably top 3 cities, it's really a bell to my ears. And that's really wonderful. So just to give little background, as a student, I was also always inspired by technology companies. Graduated from IIT Mumbai. Always was my dream to work in SpaceX, Tesla, etc. But right after that, I got into enterprise tech, which is also to do with AI in manufacturing, humanoids, etc. And that's where I saw probably there are more opportunities in countries like Germany, Japan, where in fact the labor force is also not available. And to tell you just a statistic, out of 100 people, 100 open vacancies in a plant, there are only 70 filled, which means 30 people are still missing, the process engineers, shift supervisors, whatnot, right? And that's why I 100% believe that enterprise tech, beyond language models, enterprise tech, huge data are available, and humanoids, that's absolutely the future, at least for those developed nations where the demand is pretty much visible. So this is the area I am working in, and I would be happy to share my experiences. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rahul. That's really very kind of you to keep it really brief. Indrajit, Sampath, over to you, sir.
Yeah.
Please introduce, give some background and...
Hi, my name is Sampath. I'm from Bangalore. Here to meet other entrepreneurs, network with them, and meet the students. Before I quickly get into the topic, I just wanted to highlight to the students, like we mentioned that he passed out in 2014-15 only. So that is irrelevant now. So what I've seen is students are learning now, the amount of access to information and knowledge on their fingertips they have. If you use it well, I've seen they are better than us, lot better than us.
Absolutely.
So make sure you don't let go of that opportunity. Use it, you have all the tools that you have all the network. We are willing to help you. Reach out and make sure you
don't worry about number of years experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is the prime of your career.
Absolutely.
So I've been in AI for the last 15 years, built multiple applications, deployed, and I've seen it grow from a nascent stage where we had to build all the tools ourselves, get involved in all the algorithms, and right now it's just about pervasive and everywhere. So coming to the core of the topic of the deploying of the models itself, right? We'll talk all business use cases we have spoken quite a bit. But even the building of the AI models and the deployment has been changing every generation, every couple of years. Like when we started building, we had to download all the tools, write the algorithms, build it, deploy it. Then cloud came over. With cloud, you kind of build it on the cloud. Of course, then you get into privacy issues, whether it can be on the cloud, where is the data, does it have to be sit inside the premise, outside the premise. So that is just the one thing. Then you have the entire chain of how do you build the model. So we're talking, so I had a data annotation company where we would help AI companies build those models. So you would have heard of garbage in, garbage out. If you feed it invalid data, the AI model is going to throw out invalid data. So you need to have the raw, correct data annotated by experts who are good in the domain. Like even a simple example is, before AI can understand which is a cat and a dog, a human has to tell that this is a cat and a dog. Similarly, if you're looking at the medical domain, where from images we are detecting things like diabetic retinopathy and all, you need to have someone, some doctor, some expert sit and tell which one indicates a concern, which one is not a concern. And that is not a simple solution, right? Because then there's a cost involved. Because at the end of the day, cost plays a big factor in any solution when you're trying to productize it. If it's a project, it's a different thing. Now, to annotate that, do you get doctors? Doctors don't have the time and they're expensive. So how do you optimize the process? Can we get students to annotate? Students are learning. But then how do you ensure that the quality is maintained? So you do things like distribution. You send it to 5 people and see, oh, do they agree on it? If 5 people agree on it, then it's probably right. If they don't, then send it to a expert. Or you do random sampling. So things like that, right? So there's an entire ecosystem built around just annotation. How do you get valid data to build the model? Then comes the next part. Once you build the model, how do you maintain versions? Because that's an ongoing process. It's not something that you do once and forget about it, right? So you need to maintain versions. With the versions, you need also maintain what was the training data that you used. Then when the results come, the outcomes comes, you need to be able to tie it to the actual version. Because when you want to go back to a traceability, you want to know which model actually gave this data. Because there are many cases where you want audit or certain reasons when there are complaints and all that. So that is another part of the AI ops itself. Then the thing is, where do you get the data from? So then there are things like AI first companies which do very well in generating data themselves. Like you've got Amazon. The reviews that they come, the ratings, they get all the data from there, they just have to train it. Or in many cases you need to kind of quick start the process by generating data yourself. So then how do you do a validation of the data that is generated? So those are the kind of things, right? So now with LLM, lot of things that we are building earlier manually, it's kind of become easier. Like I remember we are trying to build a chatbot for tax laws about 10 years back, and it was a humongous task just because of the algorithms and all kind of this. Now we are building that with a couple of 3 second year students from University of Mysore. So it's that become that easy, but with that ease also comes how do you keep it relevant? How do you ensure that the latest judgment are being pulled in? How often do you pull it? The data that you're pulling is valid. So right now LLMs are being used to create content, right? And they say the internet as we know it is dead because it's all artificial content that is being generated. LLMs learn from the internet that we created and it's creating a new internet. So how do you kind of shift between what is valid data, what is not valid data? So there's an entire ecosystem about this, from the privacy, maintaining data validity, how do you ensure personal information is removed, which kind of goes around the core AI algorithm, but is equally or more important to make sure that the AI algorithms work.
Thank you so much, Sampath. That's a wonderful explanation. With that, can I come to the last panelist for the first initial comments and description? Anirudh, over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. So yeah, I always love to come to educational institutes and talk to students. So again, this is a panel discussion, but I hope I get to interact with you guys, after lunch. I mean, at lunchtime or something like that. So I am founder and CEO of Algo Analytics. In one of the streams of work that we do is we sort of incubate interesting ideas and work on that, try and create sort of minimum viable products, MVPs, you can say. And then some of those MVPs we actually work with the domain people and try and take it to the market. So one of the success stories that we have, I think has been mentioned before on this panel, is Deep Tech. So Deep Tech, the initial work actually happened in Algo Analytics. Then we sort of started working with a technology person, business person, and a radiology doctor. And then, the whole journey of Deep Tech started from there. We have also done work in manufacturing, where we again did something on our own, then worked with the manufacturing companies, and then with them we are trying to now sort of see what more can be done and how it can be scaled further. The third thing which I primarily came here to talk about is about application of machine learning in financial markets. So that's something which my first company did. We were probably one of the first ones in India to use quantitative trading in financial markets. At that time, when I started this company around 2008-2009, worked with many sort of traders, investors in Mumbai, Calcutta, all over India actually, and provided them the trading strategies which are built using quantitative techniques, applying machine learning to the financial data, etc. And we ran it for about 5-6 years. And recently we have actually revived that work. So we are actually developing it further with newer techniques actually. Since 2008-2009, the technology status of AI has changed a lot. So we are trying to see how we can use the newer technology to try and do this better. Also, we have done a lot of work in analytics on the unstructured data, which is sort of text data or audio data or video data. Now we are trying to see the previous work which we did, which was analyzing time series and numerical data, multivariate time series data. How can we combine it with the information which is there in the news data, the Twitter data, all that sort of real-time text analytics data, to combine it together and try and see if we can do better predictions in terms of what should be the investment products that you should be investing in, or for traders also, for short-term trading, what you should trade. That kind of work we are doing quite a bit. We do have a product called Algo Fabric. Right now I am using it just for my own personal money or proprietary money, you can say, but we are looking to see how we can sort of commercialize with like-minded people.
Thank you for Thank you, Vedant, for giving us the initial spiel from your side. Vedant, please
Sure.
share.
Hello everyone, just before I start, how many of you are computer science and engineering students? How many of you are more business and applied or commerce? Okay, great. So I'm going to introduce myself in a less technical manner so everyone can understand and really cater to the idea. So my name is Vedant Ahluwalia. I've done my master's in artificial intelligence from Stanford University. So how many of you have heard of Dr. Andrew Ng? Any of you in AI space? Yeah. So I worked with him in the AI lab as part of the research team, early days, 14 to 16. Taught his course CS229, which was the first course in actual AI that gained global recognition at Stanford and also on Coursera. Contributed as part of Obama's team. We're part of the Office of Presidential Correspondence back in the early days. And done a lot of work in AI. We built a couple of technologies that became unicorns. Then 2020 is when I had this entire moment of thinking about what do you want to be remembered for, what should be something that people know you for. It's not just about the wealth. Many unicorn peers, everyone, if you see the major unicorns, people leading AI, are closely affiliated with Stanford University, Elon Musk, Google, all these people. So a lot of innovation last 30 years has been coming right from here. Cisco was invented by professors and students working together, Yahoo, Google, even Elon Musk has been closely working. So what we felt is our mission, our work, should be really to help other countries rise and other people rise. And for the last few years, we've been trying to focus on that. So working with a lot of countries, advising them and really focusing on changing the way people are learning. Because coding is almost over, its end of life. ChatGPT can store information for you and give you answers that are relevant. And we're reaching a phase of transition where everything in the world is changing. How we know it, if we were a technical professional 5 years ago, 10 years ago, the value was higher. But now with AI and code being able to be generated by ChatGPT, the value is slightly going down. And if you're not able to use ChatGPT effectively, your efficiency is much lower. So in a phase like this, it's very important to really be ready for a future that's changing and optimize your skills and knowledge to succeed in such a future that we all, honestly, most people don't know much about. But once you start putting your thoughts together and the vision together, you understand what type of technology technologies are coming. For the first time in 100 or thousands of years, a company has become a $100 billion company in a very short span. OpenAI, ChatGPT. So that is the level of value that AI is bringing in entrepreneurship and deployment. But the major struggle that's holding India back, and definitely a lot of countries that we've seen where we are working closely, is that the talent is not able to come up with the larger solutions, and the ideas that we're planning and the ideas that we're thinking of are actually very small in the overall context of AI that's going to evolve. So that's a small introduction. We'll wait for the
Thank you so much, Vedant. Let's give a big hand. I think we really have a very accomplished and a very diverse panel. So I want to ask a question to any of my panelists, and then I can see that till now the audience has got zero chance to ask a question. So we will allow maybe one or two questions to the audience, subject to Rajuji agreeing, because we want it to be a little interactive and participative, and for whatever reasons we have lost some time. So the question to my fellow panelists is, what are typically the challenges when you want to implement AI in any organization? And any one of you can take the mic and share from your experience. What are typical challenges when you want to implement AI in an organization? Anyone wants to try?
I'll quickly go.
Sure.
So one thing, the main thing is expectation management. To understand what AI is capable of and what it's giving you.
Okay.
Like at least in the early days when we are doing things like sentiment analysis, and people want to use that to track it to customer management.
Yes.
It's not possible because sentiment analysis won't be accurate more than 70 to 75% of the time.
Yeah.
So you're probably missing out on this thing when you go there. So that is one thing. Second thing is understanding a lot of things, right? Your model, the performance and things like that. Let's say simple thing like if you're using face recognition to identify like government surveillance and all. Now the performance of that has to be quick. Like it can't get your response after 10 minutes because by that time he's gone.
Yeah.
So tuning it to the actual requirement, actual need is also makes a huge difference.
Okay.
So those are some of the challenges at the primary.
Sure.
Quickly.
Thank you. That's a great input. Anyone else wants to add to it?
Yeah, I think one super big challenge, at least in enterprise space, we work with Mercedes, BMW, Daimlers of the world, and one very very important challenge, AI can at least at this stage can do only intelligence on the basis of data which is fed into, and the expectation cannot be that it tells some magical result out of nowhere. If a data of a specific business unit was not fed, you don't get anything out.
Yeah, so it depends on the input that is given.
Absolutely, input and this awareness and this understanding. I think the understanding in industrial space is still that it can do magic out of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
I think that
Great.
for sure is
Great insight. Anyone else from the panel wants to add?
Maybe I will just add one thing here.
Yeah.
So those two challenges are the real challenges.
Sure.
And after that, AI will give you some result. So whether this result is acceptable or not, again someone has to spend time, analyze, and
Use judgment.
Right.
So it can't be just like
Correct.
as it comes,
Especially
you
when
can't
it
use
is
it.
in some of the core
Okay.
industrial areas.
Okay. So I gave time to the audience to think. Anyone has a question from our panel, which is about deployment? My God, so many questions. Who raised the hand first? Okay, maybe we give the lady on the right-hand side corner on the aisle the first chance. So you can come closer, speak loudly, give your name and your question.
My name is Shruti Patil. I want to ask, what specific skills should we as a management student should learn for AI-driven business platforms? Like if we are going to work for the AI, so what should we learn as management?
So Shruti's question is, what specific skills should we learn to be able to implement AI? Okay, anyone from the panel wants to give her?
So I do believe that it's actually a great time for management and domain-oriented people to be in. Last few years, maybe 20-30 years, was the era of computer scientists. But I think, in my opinion, at least of certain category of computer scientists, that value is going to stabilize or reduce. in fact, and people who understand the domain are the ones who actually, will be able to ask the right questions. Because with the new AI and more and more developments are happening, the answers will always be there. But do you know what questions to ask? That actually is going to be the very, very key point. And unless you know the domain very well, so as a management person, I feel you should decide what domains you are interested in and, sort of learn the management of those domains. And that way you will be able to be a good user of the AI tools which will be available.
Vedant, you're making a point?
Yeah, I'll just make one point as well. So this is a very good question, and a lot of people have similar questions on how do I become part of AI? Is it just engineers? Is AI coding? And those all questions are actually coming to an end where coding is not AI. ChatGPT can write code and there's almost no human here. I don't think anyone on the panel that can compete with ChatGPT?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. So better we work with it and kind of work on having the intellectual ability beyond what AI can do. Think how we can work with it to get better outcomes. What we are entering is a world of complete sync and a lot of things working very seamlessly. Like the previous panel said, immortality is coming with AI and nanobots, and huge researches are happening. Self-driving cars already reached us. It was one of the Stanford projects early on. And a lot of different things are coming which we could only imagine earlier. And in this time, it is going to be key people that will manage this entire chain of how do we ensure the data going into the AI is correct, how do we ensure the AI is working correctly, if it goes wrong, what do we do? These are all management decisions, and AI has gone out of the bound of a CTO now. Because the impact on P&L of AI is so significant, companies are becoming AI first, that managers that are equipped with AI are rising very fast in the chain, and AI manager is one of the most important professions in today's time.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's give a big hand to the panel. Okay, one last question. Anyone else? Yes, sir. In the fourth row.
Sir, my name is Piyush Sadar, and my question is, what was innovation or change you would like to see in the AI industry in coming years?
Piyush Yadav wants to know what innovation and change we want to see in the AI industry in the coming years. I think it's coming at us like at a breakneck speed. You want more innovation than that? I think people are struggling to keep up with the innovation that's happening. But the experts are all here. Anybody wants to address Piyush's question? Rahul is trying. Yeah, Rahul, go ahead.
Yeah, I think first panel covered a little bit of answer to this question. I think language, right? I mean, there are many models, innovations already happening there. But what next? Because that field is getting saturated. So AGI, for instance, right? I mean, generative intelligence or humanoids, or there are very important challenges in the world. How do you augment the labor force? So I think these are some of the next generation innovations. But
yeah, Anirudh, go ahead.
I would say personalized medicine at scale.
Yeah.
So basically everybody should be able to get the personalized medicine, available at cheap cost. So I think it will take 10 more years, maybe even more than that for that. But yeah, so that is one thing I would definitely want.
So there's no end actually to innovation. So great question. Let's give a big hand to you. So with that, I would like to. We have time. Okay. So we'll take more questions. I have many questions, but we'll take from you. You're the lady number 3 in the 5th row. Speak loudly and give your name and your question.
So I'm Utkarsha, and I put in an elaboration for partner's question. I want to know, one of our panelists told us about the application of machine learning in financial markets, right?
Yes.
So I'd like to know what do you look into a candidate for financial markets project in the era of artificial intelligence and everything. What do you look into a potential candidate?
What skills, Utkarsha's question is, what skill would you look for in a candidate who wants to join a financial services company? Is that right?
In the finance sector.
In the finance sector. Core finance? Okay. So, Anirudh, give it a shot.
Okay, so again, my answer would be very, very colored with my own views and what I do. So again, application of machine learning in finance is a very, very big field. I don't understand that, and I have not worked in that. One specific area I work in, application in capital markets. So basically, that's a very small area of financial. Well, it's not very small, but
It's an important area.
niche
It's an important area.
of that. So if you want to do something in that, like for example, hedge funds, etc., right? I think especially for quant and machine learning oriented hedge funds, you need to be fairly solid in mathematics. You are, I would say, still required to have excellent coding skills. That may reduce over the period of time, but right now I think you still need to have excellent coding skills, ability to do large data management, diverse data, so numerical, text, audio, video. How can you generate signals out of, with generative AI that may become easier and easier, but how can you take signals from all these things, put it together and use it for the decision support. So I would say again, as you keep doing more and more of it, then you will start getting ideas about, what are the patterns that I should ask my machine learning algorithm to look for, right? So because
Very nice.
that's critical. So
I hope you got your answer, Utkarsha. Yeah? Okay, who's next? We have time. Yes, sir. Raise your hand, speak your name and your question loudly.
And so my question is, how will creativity aspect of human be impacted when AI will be innovated more?
So your question is, how will the creativity aspect of human beings be affected with the advent or with the, let's say, coming of AI more and more? Okay. Anyone in the panel wants to take a shot?
Asking engineers about creativity.
No, Sampath, you want to say?
Actually, again, I found first panel quite interesting because Seema actually already touched.
No problem.
This
we have a
aspect.
customer. We'll answer his question.
Right. But I think at least according to some of the philosophies, it's very difficult to touch the creativity aspect that would still remain. I think humans would remain or would need to remain one step ahead of intelligence, because at the end of the day, behind developing an AI, there is someone, some human brain, right? So probably creativity space, I believe. I have some of my colleagues from IDC, IIT Bombay, Institute of Design Center. They also, by the way, innovated this rupee symbol, R, basically,
Yes.
And I keep on hearing from my colleagues that it would still remain very relevant in the world to come. I hope this at least is a hint towards your question.
Okay, I want to add to. Sorry, after you.
anybody else?
I want to add to what Rahul said. I think there are three skills that we need to look at. The first is, and that will come from human beings. The first is, I would say, intelligent interrogation. The way we frame the question, as already was mentioned by my other panelists, that will continue to be important. And let's not forget, it's actually a stage where there's a fusion. It's not human versus machine, but human plus machine.
Why?
So that is something that we must always remember. It's going to be human plus machine. It's not a zero-sum game. And the way human beings are going to learn from machines, the same way the machines are learning from human beings today. So therefore, it's not something that we are at a stage where creativity is, not going to be required. And the third point I wanted to say was that the use of judgment, which is, you can say, wisdom, intuition, sometimes years of knowledge which is in your subconscious, which is guiding you, your inner voice, and so on. So those are things which will continue to be important to a reasonable extent. So hopefully you get an answer to your question that human beings are still relevant.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Vedant, would you like to talk about some of the things that you had planned in your talk? We can do that.
Yes, please.
We do that now.
Yes, please. You would want to come here, you have to sit and talk. Either ways.
I'll stand and talk. That'll be good.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do it with a mic. Okay, so we covered the introduction and a few things, but what I also wanted to really communicate today and get to you all was a sort of inspiration on not being lost and not being not driven, because what is happening in the world of AI, so much is changing. The older roles that we thought would exist, like a lot of your computer science people must be looking at object-oriented programming roles or something like that in Python, or getting a job in coding or getting a job in basic business, but all these roles are changing now. And the change is not even understood by corporates and companies yet, because the talent hasn't fit and the talent hasn't understood where are the roles, and this entire change is happening where there's a free-for-all. Everyone's planning different strategies, different innovations, and the only way as a student that's coming out in the real world now in today's generation you can be ready is to really have fundamental knowledge of AI, like what all the panelists and everyone was mentioning, is really understand AI deeply, how it can evolve, what it can do. If you become a prompt engineer today and then the prompt technology, the LLM changes, you'll be stuck again in following that prompt. But if you understand how the technology works, you'll be able to prompt no matter what comes through. So developing sustainable long-term skills and being able to take your knowledge of the field further, and really focusing on integration of different disciplines, like one of our panelists said as well. Steve Jobs has said it really well, that the biggest innovations come at the intersection of fields. And that is something that now is going to show the next future of AI, because core AI research has reached a certain stage that we can do a lot of things. We can use AI on medical data sets, we can use it on many other fields. But now where I've noticed the gap in a lot of organizations is the engineers and the domain experts. Having them as two separate people kind of leads to a lot of confusion, a lot of delays in reaching outcomes. And the next phase of AI is going to be accessible AI, where each and every one of you will have a certain level of ability to build your own models, optimize them, customize them. So that is something you should be ready with. Don't run away from AI, that AI is coding. Embrace it, adopt it, and make it one of your skills that makes you stand out. And like a previous panelist said, that experience now is not going to be as important as knowledge. And if you have knowledge to be able to deliver a solution that's of value to someone, your value in an organization will grow fast. Lastly, since we're short on time as well, one more thing I wanted to add for all of you is this time that has come now will not come again in the next 70, 80 years, and there will be a lot of things coming that will stagnate. But this now, the time of AI, the transition phase from a tech world to an AI world, is a very pivotal time in history. And a lot of industries, ways of working, everything is changing now. And what change brings is opportunity. You all have an opportunity to become unicorns, grow as billionaires, and grow very fast. And if you see how ChatGPT has done it in 5 years, people would take 5 generations to actually build that level of wealth. So this opportunity is the opportunity of ideas, where you think of some problem you know better than everyone else and bring the AI knowledge to yourself and start creating. Because there's no force, I think, in this world at this point with AI that can stop you from taking your technology globally. And if you really generate something of high value, you can move far and fast. And entrepreneurship has been embraced by the entire society at this point, that they are valuing entrepreneurs, supporting them. Investments are at an all-time high. There are big VCs sitting with loads of money looking to find the right idea in entrepreneurs. And of course, I've been to some recent Stanford gathering. A lot of our alumni, actually, all the top VCs are Stanford alumni. They're looking for actually AI startups that are doing something at that scale, which is going to compete globally and become billion, 10 billion, 15 billion, that level of companies. So you all have an opportunity. Your age is not against you, your age is with you. You are the people that have come in an AI first world where a lot of technologies of social media, tech, everything was there. So you can innovate further and think about what would be important in the future. Don't get distracted by smaller technologies that are coming in and trying to become mainstream. The main is AI, because what AI is, once you fundamentally understand it, is the brain of the computer, which the computer never had. Now the computer can think on its own, it can reason on its own, and it's going higher and higher towards what we call AGI. But a lot of other technologies, super intelligence and way beyond, where it's going to start thinking like all of us think as a group, being able to have a reasonable sort of intuition and abilities to guide us through many complex decisions in life. Right now, AI is able to understand your DNA and cure diseases even before they happen. preventive medicine, like what we are seeing, and we can actually change DNA using current technologies and change our biome and other aspects to achieve a much better life. So this change is giving you all a very big opportunity, and don't miss it. And really, no dream is too far and no goal is too far. You can really achieve anything. So on that note, in interest of time.
Wonderful, that's great. Thank you so much.
It's okay if that's one. No, I have a...
Yes.
You know, the UI's new phone, which is doing rounds on WhatsApp in terms of a video of what it could do, in terms of its application and analytical use of the human body and mind. Would anyone like to comment on what UI is trying to do when it launches at the World Mobile Congress next year?
Anybody with a little more knowledge than me about the phone business? Go ahead.
Yeah, so since we touch a little bit of automobile electronics, and Huawei is also into that, I think the same story is happening with automobiles as well. As my colleague mentioned, no brain earlier. Automobiles used to be just simple mechanical stuff, right? But now the compute systems in an automobile, in a car, and same story goes with our smartphones as well. I think the backbone is also chips, by the way, as was touched during panel 1 discussions. They are trying to, and Huawei is very big into their own electronics, chip manufacturing, wafer manufacturing as well. This is possible. They are able to build this kind of technology only because they have huge infrastructure in terms of right hardware and right capabilities available. And I think they are getting into, it's a fusion of augmented reality, virtual reality.
Wow.
And by the way, you might have also seen videos floating around. They are coming up with very flexible screens. You can actually. I saw one of the video. It's actual. It's real in China. I have been myself to Shenzhen area multiple times, and they can actually take the whole tablet and just shrink it like a pencil. I mean, it's mind blowing, and the pace at which China is moving, specifically in manufacturing of electronic smartphones plus artificial intelligence. That's absolutely great. I think to even think about that, probably we have to prepare ourselves from day one, and during in the educational institutes itself, we have to probably inculcate this thinking of sort of forward looking, what's going to happen in next 5 to 10 years, and be prepared with that. Else we can't compete, to be honest. We can't compete Huawei like companies.
2 points, and one is a point which youngsters in this group should answer. How do students or adults sitting here smart read, smart remember in terms of memory, and be smart driven for the future? That's one. And secondly, would China's leadership in AI be any threat to America?
In my opinion, it would be. It is becoming a threat. Absolutely. I think, and it can be countered only collectively. So I think US is also, at the end of the day, talent, immigrant talent, which is coming from Japan, India, Europe, etc. So collectively, I think the research and institutions, we also have to come together collectively to actually counter this. And what was the first question?
Yeah, very good point, and I'd also like to add a little more on the global perspective. So globally, of course, US is leader, innovator, but China has moved forward leaps and bounds in technology. And AI is not a technology that's going to remain in the silos. It's already mainstream. There are bullets that will not miss you if I feed you information that are available in defense for the last 4 years. And there's significant technologies that can do harm, which has already started with cybersecurity. You must be getting phone calls and other things that are being done through generative AI, that having that level of talent and knowledge in AI is going to be critical for every sovereign. And that is where I think globally the entire battle is at a very different stage. A lot of wars are using AI. If you see the Israel dome technology. If they didn't have it right now, there would have been so much disaster and loss in the country. So a lot of countries are now starting to gear towards that, cater to how do we build those technologies, how we reach that scale. And that all is happening now in front of us. So that's a very big opportunity. And as people in the room, how do you become smart in AI? How do you kind of get better at it? I think the idea is to first start accepting it, start using it, and start making it a part of your everyday life, where AI is going to work in a way to integrate within your life. How tech was changing you, that oh, you don't do swipes earlier, now you start doing swipes with Instagram. It created a behavior change. AI is not going to do that. AI is going to fit in your life and kind of make it better.
Wow.
So it's fitting in a very seamless way, where for example, when you go in your car, the camera in the car will automatically track your heart rate and know if you're going to have a heart attack, and in case you do, the car will land up directly at the hospital at that point. So these sort of integration and experiences are being planned and being developed actually in the valley. If you go, it's like time travel, where you're here, when you go there, you're like 5 years in the future, and when you come back, you're like back in the era. So there's an opportunity to develop, there's an opportunity to also do, and from the development standpoint, I'd like to give you an example of what we've done. We've set up a lab at Mayo College in Ajmer for applied artificial intelligence. Students from 6th grade have started to build AI,
Wow.
which is a commendable outcome achieved for the first time in the world. And this is now, I don't know how many of you know about Mayo College, but Mayo College was built as a model of Eton. Eton is where the royal family of UK studied. Mayo is where the royal families in India study. So the lab in Mayo is now going international, even to Eton, even being presented at the UN as a model in which a lot of countries are now going to adopt education. So after the days of Nalanda, Takshila, we are actually touching the same heights again by giving knowledge to the West and knowledge to the world. So nothing is impossible. As long as you have the right idea, right vision, right alignment, a lot can be done.
Well, thank you. Raman?
Yeah.
Just one time.
Please.
For students especially, right, I think it's been reiterated. The how of things is kind of solved for you, how you do things. So you don't need to remember that, but it's important to understand domain. Domain is important. Understand why. Go deeper into a domain. So instead of just learning, understand stuff. Get deeper into a question. You're talking about questioning. Get it deeper into that, and that will help you. Work with AI using that instead of just trying to learn how to do things.
Oh, I think Dr. Bhatia, I am truly impressed by the depth of questions from the students.
Thank you, sir.
And I think let's give a hand to all of them. Yeah, it's a great audience.
The directors, will you please accept the acknowledgement?
The directors, will you please arise and let's give a hand to the directors at IGI. Fantastic work. I think you should be proud of the students whom you are really building up so well. Congratulations.
Saying that I appreciate it so much. Because there's a lot of hard work
Yes.
that is happening here.
Yes.
And particularly I want to mention, I did alert the whole team that you were coming
Yeah.
because of your sheer background and the fact that you work with the President of United States of America. I'm just unfolding it, though you told me not to speak about it. I'm just unfolding this. But at some stage, all of you, if you think to these lovely people, if you can spend some more time with my children,
Sure.
I mean with the kids,
Sure.
because I think they're so bright,
Yeah.
much like what you're doing in Mayo, you'll be able to do here. Because there's a lot of talent sitting there.
Absolutely.
Lot of talent sitting there.
Absolutely.
Yeah? So acknowledgement to you all.
Thank you, all of you, for this opportunity.